So I went in and delivered a letter for former Sheriff Stanley Noblin to the judge, and he got 10 months, but it'll be done locally, and not in the penitentiary where it would be real dangerous. This local jail here doesn't have the violence. So Stanley Noblin gave me his cell phone number, and I felt safe, even though I was talking about things that had gotten me in trouble or by some irresponsible authorities elsewhere. And I felt safe here, so I felt, and I had called Stanley a few times I think, and he'd been there for me, and I was glad that I was able to be there for him. But then I went and to mail something to a friend of mine, and went to Punk's, and I found this little bugger, and they told me that somebody had already called the pound on him, and it was going to be, I know he would be dead in a few days, so I couldn't leave him. The prosecutor made his case that the community was going to be less safe because of the money that Mr. Noblin embezzled. However, it was largely snitch money, and those of us who think realize that that would have meant that people who were innocent would have been sent to live in cages. After all, our president admitted to snorting cocaine. Had he admitted to mugging an old lady or robbing a convenience store, nobody would have forgiven him. I'm not advocating the use of drugs by any means, but it's not a crime. No victim, no crime. So really, Mr. Noblin embezzling the money made the community more safe because there were less snitches sending innocent people to jail. When law enforcement are chasing people for non-crimes, that leaves more real criminals at large. So if the prosecutor really wanted to make the community more safe, he'd be against the drug war. Because when cops are arresting people for drugs, then that leaves more pedophiles, rapists, murderers, thieves, everybody at large amongst us. The prosecutor argued that Mr. Noblin had, in fact, embezzled $100,000, and that this cost the community, in terms they could have had another vehicle or another deputy. But what he didn't state, really, was that Mr. Noblin actually saved the community money by embezzling it. Now, I haven't gone off the rails. Hear me out. A lot of what he stole was snitch money. Now, that snitch money would have gone toward putting people who were using drugs behind bars. Now, that's got to cost at least $25,000 per inmate per year. So if only 4 people weren't put in jail for a year because of the money Mr. Noblin embezzled, then they broke even. But it would have been a lot more than 4 people who would have been put away. And what these prosecutors don't realize is that that cost the community money. Judge Mosby said he had never seen so much support of a defendant before in all of his career. And in that courtroom, there wasn't one person there who testified against Mr. Noblin. But there were dozens who were there on his behalf, and I don't know how many actually testified, but no small number. So the overwhelming consensus of the community was to not incarcerate this man. And yet one Commonwealth attorney went against the wishes of the community and pressed and pressed and pressed. He actually wanted him to do 10 years in a penitentiary, even though the judge also said that usually with embezzlement, first offense, the person doesn't go to jail. But the prosecutor insisted, well, this guy was in a position of serving the public, and therefore he should. Well, that prosecuting attorney was also there, supposedly, to serve the public, and yet he clearly went against the public's interests. Maybe that prosecutor should go home and take a look in the mirror at himself and think, what will future historians think about this time? What would their take be on it? Ken Hildebrandt, over and out.